Welcome back here to the Chiefs Report, everybody. Jace Andrews and the Chiefs have signed Mike Pennell. It's a big move today. Obviously, something that we wanted to talk about and helps out the defensive line in a big way. Talked about the injury report, and obviously now we got to talk about the trade deadline because with it being on this upcoming Tuesday, there really isn't much else to talk about in the world right now because, quite frankly, that is the most important part of the NFL. And we have a couple of different updates for you on the trade deadline, what to expect, and including a question today was asked to Andy Reid about the trade deadline and kind of talk about his answer. So, just to get you kind of the basics, the Chiefs look like they're going to ask for running backs. They're going to talk about defensive linemen, but given the signing today of Mike Pennell, I kind of think they might lean somewhere else. I am curious for the Chiefs whether or not they're going to be going all in because when you think about this team, we'll talk about the season as a whole. The season was off to a tougher start, but their offense has looked spectacular since the past two games here. So I think that's why this game is so important against the Buffalo Bills and why this week I think is probably a big one for Kansas City. Because if you think about the upcoming schedule and kind of the upcoming just plan of attack for the Kansas City Chiefs, you have this Sunday, afternoon game against the Buffalo Bills, and it's exciting. You want that to be a big victory. But in a lot of ways, because that trade deadline is Tuesday, it's also a big kind of statement game for players. Again, I mentioned how big it was this past week against Washington. And yes, that's great. Or excuse me, this past Monday, I should say. It's great that you got the win, but again, it was without Jane Daniels. And then the Raiders, in my opinion, are playing like the worst team in the NFL. The Bills are a good team. The Bills are a team that you're going to have to go out there. You're going to have to go out and fight against. You're going to have to really make an effort to I don't know what the right word is here, but to basically make it look like you can be a competitive team. I really think that that's kind of the harsh way to put it. Probably is that you have to go out there and compete because if you can, then a couple of different things are going to happen. You're first of all going to be a lot less worried about the trade deadline because of this or that. But you're also going to feel good going forward, knowing you have Denver and Indianapolis, who right now are top two teams in the AFC alongside the Patriots. Like that is a key couple of week stretch here coming up with a bye week though in that middle part. So it's a tough stretch. It's a huge week for players. It's a huge week for Brett Veach and for this Chiefs franchise and front office to decide, what is the next move? What is the plan? How exactly are you going to, formulate this team going forward? Whether or not depends rather whether or not this team looks well enough to make a big playoff run in this upcoming game. So, what was asked today to Andy Reid? Well, he was kind of talked about with Brett Veach, and here it is from Charles Goldman, a great Kansas City Chiefs reporter on X. Talked about here, said Chiefs head coach Andy Reid on communication with Brett Veach and the trade deadline coming up. Andy Reid said this, quote, "If he gets to a point where something's up, he hits me up on that. He's wired. He's always looking for people who can make us better." Brett Veach is such a I I don't even know the right word to describe him as a GM. He's communicative. He's very good about finding the right players for the right situation. I think Mike Pennell is a very good example. Talk about Kareem Hunt. Talk about players that he knows his team has had experience with and likes. He's also very good about including Andy Reid in these conversations because ultimately Brett Veach does a great job at drafting and formulating free agency plans and all that and contracts. But he wants to make sure that whatever player he does trade for is something that is going to work with Andy Reid's scheme, something that's going to work with Coach Spags' scheme. Like it's kind of a double form here where you have to look at the way that the money works, the way that it works with the team, but also from a coach's perspective. I mean, just to put a name out there, which we're going to talk about in a second, Breece Hall. If you went from if you're Brett Veach and you go up and talk to Andy Reid and say, "Hey, I've got a deal in place that I'm willing to make for Breece Hall. Does he fit the scheme?" And Andy Reid says no, or Andy Reid says, "I don't know," then maybe it's not worth giving up whatever it would be that you're giving up for Breece Hall. So that's where it's kind of a big part of that, and the fact that Andy Reid kind of talks about it is a big thing. So speaking of Breece Hall, we got a new kind of trade. I guess it's a mock trade, you could say, and I find it very intriguing because First of all, I think this would be a little bit of a bargain for the Chiefs. Here's the trade. The Kansas City Chiefs would obviously receive the Jets running back Breece Hall, and in return, the Chiefs would give the Jets a 2026 third round pick and a 2027 fifth round pick. I do not think in any wild world the New York Jets accept this trade for a simple fact that they could easily just keep him. Like, he's a top tier running back. And Brees Hall has publicly stated that he does not want to be traded. He's also said he knows it's a business. He knows that it's not his choice whether he gets to be traded or not. But that trade is an intriguing one from FanDuel. Just 2026 third round pick, a 2027 fifth round pick. It's not something that I can see the Jets accepting. What also makes it harder, especially looking at a Breece Hall type person, is the Jets who got their first win. That means nothing to me in the grand scheme of things, because if you got your first win in week 8, you're obviously selling. But they had a report today. Jeremy Fowler came out and said that the Jets are willing to basically hold on to Breece Hall. I find it intriguing for them to say that, just because I've talked about it so many times. Breece Hall does not fit the timeline of the New York Jets. He doesn't. The Chiefs are in a position where right now, if I look at this team, because of the injury to Isaiah Pacheco, and even before that, I really wanted a running back, but now with the injury, the number one need on this team is a running back of some form or fashion. Does that mean it has to be a top tier guy like Breece Hall? No, not necessarily. I'm totally fine with a Jerome Ford. Totally fine with a Jerome Ford. I think he's actually a really, really good back, a good receiving back. And even when Pacheco comes back, I like his formulation to put in this running back room. And you have Kareem Hunt with Jerome Ford, Isaiah Pacheco, and then you also have Brashard Smith, who can be, a force as well. But you sign Mike Pennell today. Your defensive line's in a better spot. I think you're good there. Your cornerback room, you could trade somebody away like Christian Fulton. Do you really need him anymore? There's been rumors that maybe you send off Jalen Watson, maybe you send off some guys to get some good picks back, knowing your defensive secondary is so good, and you trust Shamari Connor and Trent McDuffie. Um, I really don't see another position on this Chiefs team that is needing more of a boost than the running back. I really don't. And this goes back before the Pacheco injury. Obviously, that's a part of this now, and you have to add that into the equation. But the ultimate grand scheme of things, were we not talking about Breece Hall a week ago? Were we not talking about what Breece Hall was going to look like on this team with Isaiah Pacheco? We were. We were. Were we not talking about how Jerome Ford could look about? We were. This is such a pivotal time for Brett Veach, for the Chiefs to understand that, you had the 15-2 season last year. You stormed through the playoffs for the most part, and then you got to the Super Bowl, and it all came crashing down all at once. And in this season, you have gone through a host of different things at the start of the year where it looked bad, and there was 1,500 people screaming at the Chiefs saying, "Oh, guess what? There's the downfall of Travis Kelce. Oh, there's the downfall of Chris Jones. Like, they're getting old now." First of all, it's not true. But what you can say is they're not getting old, but yeah, they're definitely getting older. They don't look old out there, but they're reaching the upper part of their career, and kind of understanding that. I'm not saying that the dynasty's anywhere close to being over. I'm not saying this team is anywhere close to not being good. But take advantage of the time that you have right now. Take advantage knowing that the AFC, for my opinion, is wide open. Like, the Colts are a good team. Don't get me wrong. Jonathan Taylor is having an MVP level season. The Patriots look great. They're very young, though. They're very young. The Broncos, same situation. They're good. They're young. They're young. You have veterans. You have people who have been in this experience before. You have people who have been in the Super Bowl for the past 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, whatever it is. Now is the time. The AFC is wide open. You strike. You get Breece Hall. You get Jerome Ford, for all I care. Get a running back. And all of a sudden, that opens up this team. It opens up on what this team can look like moving forward, what the expectations for this team is. And ultimately, at the end of the day, how far this team can go in the playoffs. You cannot sit here and tell me that with the way the Chiefs offense has looked, with the way the Chiefs defense has looked in the past 2 weeks, and I know they're not been great teams, but the way they've looked and the plays they've made, if you add Breece Hall, if you add even Jerome Ford, you can't tell me this team is not the top team in the AFC. The team to beat. I don't care if they're a 5 seed in the playoffs. You can't tell me that. You have a top tier running back or even a group of running backs if you have Jerome Ford with them. It'd be a bad team to face. No one would want to face you. You wouldn't. Brett Veach knows what he's doing. I trust him more than I trust me. There's a reason he's an NFL GM. There's a reason I'm not. The reason I'm sitting here talking to you. But in my opinion, I think if you get a running back, it's over for the AFC. Now, I can't guarantee you're going to go to the Super Bowl and win, but I really do think that if you get a running back, I see you in the AFC Championship. And I don't think there's a really that hard of a path with it. The offense looks good. You add a running back. This team is in a very solid place. We'll find out, though. Again, trade deadline next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe. 4 p.m. Eastern, so 3 p.m. Kansas City time. Obviously, you can do the math past that on time zones. But, yeah, they signed Mike Pennell today. That's the biggest news of the day. We'll talk more tomorrow about all the moves, kind of anything else that we're seeing in the trade deadline talk. And, of course, we'll take a look at the injury report as well. So thanks for listening here today. We appreciate you hanging out with us here and listening on the Rogue Media Sports Network. But I'm Jace Andrews here signing off for the Chiefs Report today. Peace out, guys.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.